Righto, tell you there, champs. Now, is this Legion 7i still the best, or at least one of the best gaming laptops out there? Well, let's find out. Now, I consider the Legion 7 one of the best gaming laptops out there without question. I bought one myself. I've got videos on that, you can go check that out. But I bought it because I thought it was one of the best gaming laptops. And I did get it on a deal at the time, and yeah, woof. The planets aligned and I got that thing. I don't have it anymore. What I can say, it was an absolute awesome gaming laptop, but the person who has it now loves it. Still goes on about it all the time, how great it is for gaming. This is the new Legion 7i. Now they do have an AMD version. That's the Legion 7. This is the Legion 7i and it comes with Intel processors. Well, I say processors, only one processor you can get, and it has the 13900HX. Perfect, right? You can go to the 13980HX, but come on. This is the perfect CPU for gaming. This model here comes with an RTX 4082. You also can get a 4090 as well. It is a big gaming laptop, so it's a 16-incher. That is the perfect sweet spot for me. This model here comes with a 1600p 240Hz display. There's also an option for a 165Hz 1000 nit mini LED display. Oh, I want to see that one. But I've got to say the display on this, yeah, it's really good. 240Hz. Got a peak brightness of over 550 nits. Yes, I measured it, and 100% sRGB. The mini LED version is like 100% P3. So if you want to do color work and stuff like that, get the mini LED and it gets to 1000 nits too, right? For gaming for this one, 1600p, 240Hz, absolutely beautiful, G-Sync. The only criticism I have of the display is it's matte and I like glossy displays. But yeah, so I think this display is perfect sweet spot there. It's like 2.8 kilos, this thing. As I said, you know, it's a 16-incher. That's what you sort of expect, like 26 millimeters thick. It has all the ports you want, including Thunderbolt, which is like every gaming laptop to me has to have Thunderbolt for me. You know, USB Type A's, USB-C's, Ethernet, headphone jack. It doesn't have an SD card reader, but it's a gaming laptop. I'll forgive that. Keyboard and trackpad, absolutely awesome on this thing. I don't like that it's a full-size keyboard, but whatever. I will say the RGB is like one of the best RGBs on any laptop. The underglow, the keyboard RGB, it's just really nice. It's built solid, it's tough, you know, it's premium. And you pay a premium price. I'll leave a link in the description to the latest prices. Oh, pick these up on a deal, all right? Wait until they got the sales. Lenovo always have sales. The full price is just eye-watering on all these sort of new gaming laptops, so there's no surprise there. But just wait for that deal. Now, the speakers, look, they're adequate. They do the job. Not particularly bassy, not particularly loud. They don't distort, but you're not going to hear them when you game. But if you want to watch, you know, content and stuff like that, and like Netflix, whatever, perfectly fine, no problems there. Now, you can upgrade all this. You can upgrade the RAM in it, you know, DDR5. You can upgrade two M.2 SSDs in there, so that's all upgradable. Nice. Perfect. That's what you want. Now, as I said, I had the last model of this, and yeah, this thing is a bit nicer than the last model. It's not as big. It just looks a bit neater. It doesn't look as big, but have they ruined it, like ruined the thermals or whatever? And the good news is, woof, this thing goes all right. 330 watt power supply. When I gamed, it was in the 70s, 80s, bliss, 51 decibels, max sort of load. Doesn't get too hot. I'll leave at the end of this video. I've already got a video on its power output, how it performs. That's thermally and how much power it outputs. It's around that sort of 215 watts package, CPU and GPU together. Of course, you know, these dynamically balanced now. So it hasn't increased its thermal output compared to the last model. But because you get the new parts, you do get an uplift in performance over the last model. I wouldn't bother. If you got a 3080 or 3080 Ti, don't bother upgrading. Even though this is the 4080 here, I still wouldn't upgrade even if you got the 4090 version. Like if you got a 3080, 3080 Ti, just don't worry about it. If you got like a 3070 or below, then I would think about it. But yeah, nah, if you got like a high-end last gen, you know, sort of gaming laptop, there's no need to upgrade there. Certainly if I had my RTX 3080 Legion 7, I would not be upgrading to this. Now, battery life is where it falls apart a little bit here, and it's not Lenovo's fault. Intel forgot that these CPUs go in sort of laptops, right? Great gaming performance, don't get me wrong. The performance is amazing. It can sustain like 120, 130 watts on that CPU, and it's super powerful, you know, Cinebench of 30,000, awesome performance, but the battery life suffers a bit. So if you want good battery life, you go to the AMD one. If you want the best gaming, you go to the Intel and Thunderbolt, of course. So I was getting about 4 hours, just over sort of 4 hours, sort of general web surfing, stuff like that. That's all they're good for, 4 or 5 hours with these HX parts. And yeah, Intel, come on. So to answer the question, is this still the best gaming laptop? Well, it's got to be in the conversation, right? Although the wattage hasn't improved from the last generation, you get the new parts, you get the option of a 1000 nit HDR sort of mini LED display. So wow, it was only like 61 decibels on the full load, as I said before, so it's, you know, quiet. It's portable gaming. I took this away with me over Easter, and man, it was awesome gaming on this thing, and yeah, I really love it. Criticisms, the battery life, that's Intel's fault. I would like a glossy display, maybe an SD card reader, chuck one in, why not? But other than that, as sort of like a gaming device, it's great, it's fantastic, and yeah, it's got to be up there. So anyway, wait for a deal. These things are eye-watering, the prices. Yeah, it's just crazy now, isn't it? And I will certainly be looking for deals on these. So anyway, catch you in the next one, guys. Tally ho. Righto, tally ho there, champs. Now let's have a look at the power output and thermal output of this Lenovo Legion 7i. This is the Intel version. And yeah, I gotta tell you right now, this actually blew me away. So this Legion 7i comes with a 13900 HX. That's the big boy Intel CPU. Whenever it says HX, that means it's the big powerful one. And it also comes with a 175 watt RTX 4080 Wolf. So yeah, you know, pretty powerful specs there. I've been enjoying this gaming laptop. I took it away with me over Easter for the break. Gamed on it all the time, never missed a beat. Awesome performance of this thing. Make sure you sub up for my full review. And I know people are going to ask me about this black screen of death thing. Well, I upgraded to the latest BIOS with this, and if you don't know what the black screen of death is, it's, you know, when you put it under full load, then you let it idle, it'll just go to a black screen and you can't recover it and you have to restart the laptop. Some of these 40 series laptops are doing this. With this latest BIOS update, no problems whatsoever with that. It hasn't happened to me once. Now, has it been solved? Is it fixed? I don't know. You'd have to have a sample size of 100 to get any, you know, meaningful data there, but I can only tell you it hasn't happened with this one so far. So let's get into the performance of this thing thermally. So I'm going to slam this thing with Cinebench. And what you'll see with Cinebench is quite a big power output, okay? 173 watts maximum on that CPU. Wolf, 173 watts, that's just nuts. Now obviously once the boost state's over, it sort of sits at about 125 watts, 130 watts, and that's amazing, right? The CPU can sustain that. And forget about the Cinebench score, it's around the sort of 30,000 mark. I'm actually recording as well, but the thermal stayed true. And even after 10 minutes running Cinebench, the maximum temperature was 97 degrees. It wasn't there for very long, mind you, and it was still maintaining 125, 130 watts after 10 minutes of Cinebench. So that's really good thermal performance of that CPU, and the temperatures were actually below 90. So that's a good output on the CPU. Very happy with that. So now I'm going to slam CPU and GPU together. Now this GPU can boost up to 175 watts, but this thing here actually boosted to 190 watts on the GPU. That is nuts. Now with the CPU and GPU 100% pegged, this is what blew me away. It wasn't so much the wattage output. So CPU and GPU together, after the boost states are over, you're going to be around that sort of 210, 215 watts. So that's the total package. CPU and GPU together, it has a 330 watt power supply. That's what you want for a sort of 15, 16, 17 inch laptop. So it gets a tick there, being about 215 watts. It's not the most wattage I've seen, but considering it is a sort of tidier package than the old model, that's pretty good. And it's sort of more or less the same sort of wattage output as the last model. But what blew me away about this was 100% CPU and GPU together, and remember, in a gaming load it's not going to be like this. This is like worst case scenario. But under that full load of CPU 100%, GPU 100%, we were getting temperatures of 74 degrees on the GPU and 75 degrees on the CPU. Now the CPU was doing around 65 watts and the GPU was doing around 150 watts. Now in a game that's going to dynamically balance, GPU needs more, it will boost higher, the game needs needs the CPU more, it'll boost more for the CPU. That's just how it works. But 215 watts total package and temperatures in the 70s, amazing. The total wattage output, it gets a tick. It's not the most I've seen, but it's thereabouts. But the temperatures being at 75 degrees, sort of CPU and GPU, while maintaining 215 watts, that is amazing, because a lot of laptops, they're pushing into the 90s at this sort of stage there. So really good thermals on this. Stay tuned for my full review. I'll catch you in the next one. Tally ho.